Let's bring in international affairs analyst Calvin Dark, who's in Washington. Calvin, it's been a while. Thanks for joining us on the program. So President Moon is quite an optimist. He's always been, it appears, when it comes to his dreams of ending the Korean War on the peninsula. But some analysts do fear that he may not be a realist at the end. What do you think?
Well, I think that it's more possible now than it's ever been. A couple of factors. One is from the South Korean side, the South Korean president is the child of refugees that were separated. So this is not only a political goal for him, but it's a personal one. And for the North Koreans and too for the South Koreans, there's a lot of economic benefit because they're realizing that together their economic partnerships can increase this level of life for all of their citizens, so they have that incentive. So I do think it's possible. However, it's extremely complicated, and I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, as some people are saying, by the end of the year. I think that's way too soon.
Well, he's pretty optimistic about that. But do you think he needs, do you think Kim Jong-un needs some external pressure to do this? And could that pressure come from the United States backing South Korea on this?
Yes, I do think that the United States can pressure South Korea and North Korea behind the scenes. But here's the important thing. The U.S. sees this in terms of denuclearization. But we need to realize that it's a lot more complicated for the two Koreas. And they have family reunification. They have economic cooperation. So we may push them to get the peace treaty, but we may not find that denuclearization is the highest priority for them. Also, my big question is, whenever I hear about the peace treaty, is that gives a formal end to hostilities. Then that leaves 28,000 U.S. soldiers in South Korea. If I was Kim Jong-un, I would say, then why are they still here? And so that, I think, is a way that he'll use to get the U.S. presence out from, a few miles from his border.
So in other words, it really doesn't appear like either side really wants to see the end of the Korean War as in a formal end to it. I do quite agree with you, but President Kim Jong-un and the U.S. President Donald Trump have been working closer, I guess, since that June meeting, both of them talking about denuclearization of the peninsula. Kim Jong-un himself even saying he wants the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. Do you think he's really making efforts towards that, whether or not he's been encouraged by the U.S. or whether or not the U.S. says, we're on this with you?
Well, I tell you, I heard the best description of Kim Jong-un the other day. It said he is really talented at selling the same horse twice, because that's essentially what he's doing, is he's making these little steps that are more on promise than substantive progress. What I think is really telling is, I'm sure you saw yesterday with rapper Kanye West in the Oval Office, they talked about North Korea. And Kanye West said, you've solved this big problem. Donald Trump said, well, we're solving, it's getting there. And I said, okay, it must be serious if even Donald Trump is not claiming a victory. So I think what that shows is that even if it's progressing, it's not progressing with this big win that President Trump has been billing it as.
So take a wild guess, Calvin, do you think the Pope will visit North Korea on the invite of Kim Jong-un?
I don't think so, but I think that the invitation of the Pope is clear what I've been saying, but I think most people have been saying. The Singapore meeting gave a lot to Kim Jong-un. Even though President Trump said it was just a meeting, it gave him legitimacy in the world stage. How much more legitimate as a country can you be than inviting the Pope to come visit your country? So I think that is a clear sign that Kim Jong-un is getting as much as he can out of this without doing the least that he can towards denuclearization.
Well, we have till the end of the year to see any measurable progress. Calvin, thanks a lot for speaking with us and doing very straight now.